In the last section, we added and subtracted monomials. So in section 4, we're going to multiply monomials. And to see where the parts are going to come from, let's just look at one. 2 to the third power means 3 factors of 2. So 2 is the base raised to a power of 3. So 1, 2, 3 factors of 2. 2 to the fourth is 1, 2, 3, 4 factors of 2. So now when we multiply all of those, now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 factors of 2. So if we've got the same base to a power and multiplied by the same base to another power, you're simply going to add those powers together. So in something like this, if you've got x to the 5th times x to the 3rd, that's going to be x to the 5 plus 3, or x to the 8th. All right, so when we're multiplying monomials, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to multiply the coefficients. You're going to multiply the numbers that are in front of the variable, and then you'll multiply the variables. And when you multiply those variables, you look for like bases and simply add those exponents. So here is the example. So we're going to first multiply the coefficients. So we'll have 9 times 3. And then we're going to multiply the y to the 5th and y to the 8th. So we have y to the 5 plus 8 because it has the same base. So we're simply going to add the exponents. So now we multiply them. Now that we've got the parts together, 9 times 3 is 27. And y, and add the 5 and the 8 is 13. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, yes. So 27y to the 13th. This one is a little more difficult. The same type of thing. If you think you've got to hang on it, hit pause and do it by yourself. All right? Here we go. So first, multiply the coefficients. So we've got negative 5 6 times 2 thirds. Do that up front. Then when you multiply the parts, you're going to multiply the like bases. So you've got a to the 2 plus 5, because you got a squared here and a to the 5th. And you're going to multiply that by b. Now be careful, because this, if you don't see a power, there is a power of 1. So this is b to the 1 plus 4 power. And then times c to the 3rd, and there is no c power in here, so you can just leave it by itself. So then when you simplify these, let's see, 6 is 2 times 3. So you're going to cancel out your 2's. So this is negative 5 over 9. A to the 2 plus 5 is 7. B to the 1 plus 4 is 5. And C to the 3rd. All right? Easy sneezy. So first multiply your coefficients and then go through and find like bases and just add their exponents. Easy, easy. All right. The next thing is, if you're going to, some of the problems that I give you are going to be geometric problems. And so you've got geometric shapes that you're going to write expressions for different parts of them. So in this case, it says write an expression for the volume of this box that I have drawn so beautifully. I worked so hard to get this all gorgeous. All right, one thing that you need to know is the formulas. Once again, I think I've told you this before. The formulas for all those geometric shapes, so the area and the volume and of the different shapes, those formulas are on page 95. Several of those you need to have memorized for rectangles and rectangular solids, and for area and volume. You need to know those. You need to just know them. So if you need to look them up right now, go ahead and do that on page 95. So if you want the expression for the volume of a rectangular solid is simply length times width times height. And I had that in my memory, so you need to have those. Length times width times height. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the length, the width, and the height of this rectangular solid, and we're just going to multiply them together. So we've got length, and it doesn't matter which is which. Let's say the length is 7x, the width is your x, and the height is 2x. And all we want to do, this says write an expression. Remember, expression doesn't have an equal sign. All you want to do is simplify this. So 7x times 2x. So what we're going to do is let's multiply all of it together at the same time. So multiply our coefficients, 7 times 2. and then multiply our variables. We've got one of them here, plus another one here, plus another one here. So now we have 7 times 2 is 14x cubed, or x to the third. All right, here we go. So next, so when we're multiplying, simply multiply the coefficients and then add the powers. Now, if you want to take a power to a power, if you've got 2 to the third raised to the squared power, what this means is 2 to the third times 2 to the third. So now this is 2 to the 3 plus 3, or 2 to the 6th. So instead of working that all the way out, you can remember, okay, if I'm raising a power to a power, I simply multiply those powers together. So 2 to the third power raised to the second power, or squared, is going to be 2 to the 3 times 2. So you multiply those powers. 3 times 2 is 6. So you end up with 2 to the 6th power. All right, let's show you what I mean here. On this one down here, 5a to the 6th all cubed is going to be 5 cubed. Oh, and I need to show you this part too before I do that, don't I? So also, if you're multiplying two numbers and raising that product to a power, you've got to take that power to each part of what you're multiplying. All right, so let's do that on this, because we've got a 5 and an a to the 6th. So each part of that needs to get the power. So we've got 5 cubed times a to the 6th times 3, because this is 6 to the third power. We're multiplying, not adding. So now 5 to the third power is 5 times 5 is 25, times another 25, times another 5 is 125. And then a to the 6 times 3 is a to the 18th power. So that would be your final answer. You'd multiply, you've got to take each part to the power. Let's do a couple more. Let's do some that look kind of scary, and I'll break them down and show you that they're not so scary. There's that one, and then we'll multiply a couple of monomials here. Okay, so what we're going to do on this one is, let's erase the extra so it's not so. All right, so if we're going to take negative 2/3 x, y cubed, z to the 5th, all raised to the 5th power. Remember, each part has to be raised to the power. So what we're going to do is we're going to raise the negative 2/3 raised to the 5th power. And then we're going to have the x raised to the 5th power. And then we're going to have the y to the 3rd raised to the 5th power. And remember when we do that, when we raise a power to a power, we multiply by that power. And if you'll look back, let me pause just a minute. If you go back to this x to the 5th power, remember this is a 1, and 1 times 5 is 5. So we did the same thing there. And then we're going to have this z to the 5th raised to the 5th power. And I didn't give myself enough space, did I? All right, so negative 2/3 to the 5th power is going to be, oh, you know what? I messed myself up because on my answer key I did to the 4th power, but we can do this. Here we go. So negative 2/3 to the 5th power, and I already worked out to the 4th power is 16. 16 times another 2. 2 times 6 is 12. 1, 2, 3. So we've got negative 32 on top. And 3 to the 5th power, 3 to the 4th was 81, times another 3 is 243. And because it's to the 5th power, it's going to stay negative because it's an odd power. So an odd negative is going to land you with a negative. So negative 32 over 243 times x to the 5th times y to the 3 times 5 is 15. Times z to the 5 times 5 is 25. And I should have given myself more space so you could see that. So negative 32 over 243, x to the 5th, y to the 15th, z to the 25th. All right, last one. Here we go. When we multiply 3x squared times 4x to the 5th raised to the 3rd power, we need to remember that you always do the exponents first. So you want to raise this part to this third power before you multiply by the 3x squared. All right, so first raise this to the third power. So you've got 4 to the third power times x to the 5 times 3, because the fifth power is raised to the third power. So this is going to be 4 times 4 is 16, times another 4 is 64, x to the 15th. So that's this part raised to the third power. So bring down what you had here. Don't lose it. Now you're simply going to multiply your coefficients. 3 times 64 and x squared. Now be careful, because now we're multiplying x squared times x to the 15th. So now this is where we take the 2 plus the 15. So 3 times 64 is 192. And x to the 2 plus 15 is x to the 17th power. All right, so the trick is going to be when you're multiplying those monomials, when you're multiplying them, you add the exponents. When you're taking a power to a power, that's when you multiply the exponents. All right, see you soon.